Let's talk about COVID and the pandemic, and because every business has been impacted in some way. Tell me about the impact that COVID had on your business, whether it be positive or negative.
Yeah, of course. So I think just to kind of like zoom out, like the travel and tourism industry, a report came out yesterday by the UN WTO, and it said that in the month of May, leisure travel was down 98% as compared to last May, 98%, so almost 100%. And there's been about $320 billion lost from an economic perspective. And also, it was just very striking to hear that that economic loss is three times as detrimental than the 2009 economic crisis. Wow. Three times. So when there's this type of economic loss, and obviously there's many tourism communities where tourism is their main driver of economy. So countries and citizens that may have been on the brink of poverty could easily slide into a deeper level of poverty. So from a global perspective, it is very important that the world starts to think about destination recovery, hotels, tourism boards, all tourism, contributors, and even travelers. So the path forward is about how to travel in a safe, kind, respectful, and responsible way, because that is how we, have an opportunity to rebuild tourism in a responsible, efficient way.
So more on that. How has responsible travel shifted as a result of COVID-19?
Yeah. So I think it's really fascinating that we've all been on a bit of a journey with an educational journey because of COVID. So at the start of the lockdown and even now, we have, if you watch the news and you follow along what's been happening, you have learned the importance of community impact. From whether it's the importance of food banks and blood banks and services that provide support to essential workers. We've all been kind of schooled on a very real dose of reality of how important it is to drive and support communities, local communities. We've also seen when we all stay home, what the planet does from a positive perspective. We saw CO2 levels decrease to the most they've ever decreased in history because we all stayed home. We saw wildlife regenerate in places where wildlife did not live before. So we've been painted this picture in a way that's all risen our level of consciousness to some degree. About, some of the real, whether it's climate change or poverty, some of the things that our world faces. I think another thing that we've been schooled in is wildlife, perhaps wildlife trafficking. At the start of the lockdown, and we're still, I know that it's not 100% proven yet how COVID started, but there is a widespread belief that it was from a market in Wuhan that was associated with the wildlife trade. And the point is that there's a level of consciousness that is really screaming out, saying that there is a new opportunity here to build a new normal that considers the environment and the community. And we can travel kindly in a way that respects those things to create a better world. That's the opportunity that COVID is giving us. So the future of responsible tourism has shifted because it's also about traveler safety now. And so safety is wearing a mask, it's social distancing, and it's being respectful to local communities. And so that responsibility has shifted for the tourism industry to not just be about sustainability, but also traveler safety. So there's a lot of shifts happening, and an opportunity to rebuild a normal that is based in these values of respecting the community and the environment, because we've all been woken up to these aspects over the last couple months in a different way than we may not have been if it didn't happen.
It's so true. I think that the travel as we know it is just gone. Like, I think you're absolutely right. There's going to be a new normal. People are definitely going to think more about, am I traveling in a way where it's responsible? Am I, health and safety is going to be absolutely paramount when it comes from a travel perspective. So I think that going forward, if we're really going to have that recovery in the travel industry, people need to have a sense of purpose around travel. People aren't going to be traveling just to travel anymore. I think that's definitely been evident in terms of, do I really need to take this trip? If I am taking this trip, I want it to have purpose. I want it to have meaning. So I think absolutely, that's just definitely going to be a new way of thinking about travel and thinking about it in a responsible manner, because I think we have to, right?